Welcome to today's video. Today we will discuss the topic of life cycle of mustard oil. The video is mainly divided into 3 parts. The first part is introduction, the second part is main content, and the third part is conclusion. Now, let's start today's first part, introduction. Oil is an indispensable product in our life. Common edible oils include peanut oil, corn oil, and sunflower oil. I believe everyone is familiar with these products. So, have you ever heard of mustard oil? And have you ever used mustard oil? If not, or you don't know this product yet, then follow me and I will introduce it to you. Mustard oil is one of the pressed oils that can be used for cooking, also known as mustard volatile oil. Oil makes up about 30% of mustard seeds. It can be made from black mustard, brown mustard, white mustard. It has a distinctive pungent taste, is characteristic of Bengali and North Indian culinary delights, and is sometimes used as a substitute for ghee. It is a light red liquid obtained by high-temperature distillation of mustard seeds. It is called mustard oil because mustard seeds contain 2 products. One is crude oil and the other is seed oil. Crude oil is no different from the oil we use for cooking, and it has no taste. But seed oil is different. Its color is light red, which is similar to crude oil, but its concentration is similar to that of water, which is relatively thin. Mustard oil tastes very pungent. It is used as a cooking oil in some cultures, but its sale is restricted in some countries due to its high erucic acid content. So, what else can mustard oil be used for? First is what I mentioned earlier as cooking oil. The second is medicinal. Mustard oil has been used medicinally for thousands of years. In Ayurvedic medicine, it is used to treat a variety of ailments and is also used as a massage oil. The third is cosmetics. Mustard oil is often used in cosmetics for its moisturizing properties. Besides the previous 3 main uses, mustard oil is also used in pest control, fuel, lubricant, and religious and cultural practices. If you are interested, you can go to the internet to search for more information about the uses of mustard oil, and you may find interesting new discoveries. In fact, it's difficult to pinpoint a specific year or time frame when mustard oil was developed, as it has been used for thousands of years. The earliest use of mustard oil dates back to ancient India, when Ayurvedic medicine used mustard oil to treat various ailments. Afterwards, mustard oil was also widely used in ancient Greece and Rome. The production of mustard oil began to develop further during the medieval period, and by the 18th century it was popular in Europe for culinary and medicinal purposes. Today, mustard oil is still widely used in many parts of the world. After introducing mustard oil, I believe that everyone has a preliminary understanding of it, so let's enter today's main content. The entire life cycle of a bottle of mustard oil is divided into 5 stages: raw materials, manufacture, transportation and distribution, usage, and finally end of life. Next, let's go to the first stage. This stage may also be called the planting stage. So, the first step, of course, is to prepare the land. This includes clearing the land of any vegetation, cultivating the soil, and fertilizing the soil to increase its fertility. Then comes the second step, seed selection. Selecting quality mustard seeds for planting involves sorting and cleaning the seeds. Step 3, sowing. After selecting the seeds, plant them in rows at the correct depth and spacing. This process may require machines for planting. After planting, irrigation is a critical step. Mustard plants need water to grow, so irrigation is necessary. usually by pumping water from source to field. The fifth step is pest control. Mustard greens are prone to pests and diseases, so pest control measures are a must. This may involve the use of pesticides, herbicides, and machinery after the mustard is ripe. Enter the sixth step, harvesting. The process uses machines such as harvesters for harvesting. Finally, the harvested mustard seeds need to be transported to processing plants. For the next stage of processing, during this process, transport vehicles move the mustard seeds from the farm to the factory. Next, let's move on to the manufacturing phase. The first step in this phase is washing and sorting the mustard seeds. The process involves machinery such as vibrating screens, stone removers, and air classifiers. The preliminarily processed mustard seeds will immediately go to the second step, pressing. Press the washed and sorted mustard seeds for oil. The process involves mechanical equipment such as presses or solvent extractors. Next, we enter the third step, refining. The extracted crude mustard oil is refined to remove impurities and improve its color, flavor, and shelf life. The process involves machinery such as deguming, neutralization, bleaching, and deodorizing. Equipment. In the fourth step, the finished mustard oil needs to be packaged. Fill the refined mustard oil into bottles, jars, or barrels. This process requires resources such as packaging materials and machinery such as filling and sealing machines. Finally, the finished bottled mustard oil needs to be stored in warehouses until it can be distributed. This process requires the temperature and humidity conditions necessary to maintain oil quality. Next, let's move on to the third phase, transport and distribution. As just mentioned, prepared mustard oils are kept in warehouses in bottles or barrels. After the order is received, the mustard oil is shipped across the country and even around the world. Trucks, ships, and planes are commonly used to transport mustard oil from factories or warehouses to market. The next step is the usage phase. First, mustard oil is often used in cooking, and it is also used in various industrial applications such as lubricants, soaps, and cosmetics. Furthermore, mustard oil is used in some traditional medical practices. Apart from this, mustard oil is used in various other applications such as fuel for lamps or as an insect repellent. The last stage, end of life. Used or unused mustard oil or mustard oil packages are thrown in the trash. This will generate a lot of solid waste from mustard oil cans, bottles, and so on. This waste is sent to landfill or goes to an incineration facility. Relevant studies have shown that the most energy and materials are used in the entire product life cycle, and the most significant impact on the environment is the raw material stage and the manufacture stage. Next, let's take a mustard oil extraction factory in India as an example. The following table shows the inventory of the mustard oil production stage of the factory. Then, let's take a look at what pollution will the mustard oil bring to the environment during its entire life cycle. The first is water pollution during mustard cultivation. Pesticides and chemical fertilizers are often used in large quantities. These chemicals can easily contaminate water sources such as rivers, lakes, and groundwater near fields. This pollution can harm aquatic life and affect the health of people who depend on these water sources. Second, soil pollution cannot be ignored. The use of pesticides and fertilizers can also contribute to soil pollution, as these chemicals can build up in the soil over time and affect soil quality. This reduces soil fertility and affects the growth of other crops in the area. Third, the use of diesel-powered machines such as tractors during mustard growing. And harvesting also contributes to air pollution. These machines emit harmful gases such as nitrogen oxides and particulate matter that can harm human health and the environment. Finally, monoculture of mustard can lead to loss of biodiversity in the region. This is because monocrop cultivation reduces the diversity of plant and animal species in the area, which has negative ecological consequences. Then, what kind of pollution will be produced in the manufacture stage? Similarly, water pollution and air pollution are certain. During the production of mustard oil, large amounts of water are used to wash and process the seeds. If this water is not properly treated and disposed of, it can contribute to water pollution by releasing oil, chemicals, and other pollutants into nearby water sources. Second, the production of mustard oil involves heating the seeds to extract the oil, which releases harmful emissions such as volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and particulate matter. These pollutants contribute to air pollution and negatively impact human health and the environment. Adding to this is the fact that the production of mustard oil generates solid waste that can negatively impact the environment. If not disposed of properly, oilseed residues such as shells, husks, and other debris and solid waste such as mustard cake can cause soil contamination if not handled properly. Finally, the production and processing of mustard oil requires a lot of energy, which contributes to greenhouse gas emissions and contributes to climate change. Pollution during transport and distribution. The first is greenhouse gas emissions. Transportation of mustard oil requires transportation such as trucks and ships, and fossil fuels such as diesel or gasoline. These vehicles emit greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxides. These emissions contribute to climate change and air pollution. Excessive consumption can also deplete non-renewable resources and contribute to air pollution. In addition to this, the movement of trucks and other transport vehicles creates noise pollution, which can be a hazard to human health and wildlife in the area. Finally, accidents during transportation could result in mustard oil spills, which could have negative impacts on the environment and wildlife in the area. In fact, there is no direct environmental pollution during the use of mustard oil, but it has certain indirect effects. For example, the use of the stove during the cooking process consumes energy, as well as the water used to wash the tableware after use, and so on. For the final end-of-life stage, soil contamination still exists. Canola oil contains organic matter that breaks down and decomposes in the soil. But plastic bottles can take hundreds of years to decompose. If bottles are not handled properly, they can leach harmful chemicals and pollutants into the soil, making it unsuitable for growing crops or other plants. Second, improper disposal of canola oil bottles can lead to water pollution. If bottles are thrown into rivers, lakes, or oceans, they release toxic chemicals and pollutants that harm aquatic life and disrupt ecosystems. Third, air pollution. Canola oil bottles also contribute to air pollution if they are burned in incinerators or disposed of in landfills. Burning plastic bottles releases toxic chemicals and greenhouse gases, which can cause respiratory disease and contribute to climate change. Fourth, endanger wild animals. Canola oil bottles can pose a threat to wildlife if not handled properly. Animals may mistake the bottle for food and swallow it, resulting in injury or death. Animals can also become entangled in plastic, causing injury or death. However, all the environmental impacts mentioned above are possible impacts under common circumstances. If you want to explore the specific environmental impact, it depends on many other conditions, such as location, planting method, production method, equipment and process of processing plant, transportation means, and so on. Next, we use data from a mustard oil extraction plant in India as an example. The LCA results for the different categories are shown in table 2 below, which shows the overall impact of all resource consumption during mustard oil production. Table 3 shows the percentage contribution of each category impact. After viewing all the previous content, I believe you will be shocked. A small product can actually bring so many and important environmental impacts at different stages of its life cycle. So, is there a way to reduce and mitigate these negative environmental impacts? So next, let's take a look at my recommendation. At the raw material stage, it is important to take steps to minimize the environmental impact of mustard cultivation, such as reducing the use of pesticides and fertilizers, using alternative energy sources for machines, and promoting sustainable agricultural practices during the preparation and production phase. In order to minimize the environmental impact of mustard oil production, it is important to implement sustainable production practices, such as reducing water consumption and proper waste treatment and disposal. Furthermore, promoting the use of renewable energy and improving energy efficiency can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and minimize the environmental impact of mustard oil production. During the transport and distribution phase, in order to minimize the environmental impact of transporting mustard oil, it is important to use efficient and sustainable means of transport, such as the use of electric or hybrid vehicles or alternative modes of transport such as rail or water. Additionally, proper maintenance of transport vehicles and strict regulations and enforcement help prevent accidents and spills during the end-of-life phase. To mitigate these environmental hazards, canola oil bottles must be disposed of properly. This could include recycling plastics or disposing of them properly in landfills. It is important to follow local waste disposal regulations and guidelines to protect the environment and wildlife. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for your patience. At the end of the video, I hope you have gained something from my video. Thanks again to all the viewers.